and I'll haunt your nightmares. Little did you know that I like fear. When you turn, I'll be right there. You should be afraid, you should be scared. Out of the darkness, out of the fear, here comes the monster waiting in there. Heart rate is rising, some call it scared. You'll feel the chill start raising your hairs. It's too late, you're here now. I hope that you're prepared, cause there's no getting out. You can feel the energy, dark like a cloud. Electrified by panic, terror and doubt. Don't cross me or you'll learn quick the hard way that I'm not one to mess with. I got a mind and that mind's full of mean tricks. I'll plant a seed in your red where the fear will stick. And I'll haunt your nightmares. Little did you know that I like fear. When you turn, I'll be right there. You should be afraid, you should be scared. We're all alone, you're on your own. It's you and me who's going home. Look up, cause I'm right here. Welcome to a real life nightmare. Possess all your dreams. A demon preys on the weak. You better watch out for me. Mistakes were made, you will see. You should've never crossed me, cause now you'll never stop me. Revenge was my calling. Now you're a dead man walking. And I'll haunt your nightmares. Little did you know that I like fear. When you turn, I'll be right there. You should be afraid, you should be scared. We're all alone, you're on your own. It's you and me who's going home. Look up, cause I'm right here. Welcome to a real life nightmare.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. Today is Friday, and that means Friday. Now, first of all, let me look at the chat and welcome all of my wonderful viewers. Thank you, Schmoozer, for the daily check-in and the care package, and congratulations on being the first. Good evening, Visalia, welcome. How are you doing today? Oh, what a lovely tea emoticon you have. That's wonderful. And it just fits the occasion because I do have a cup of tea myself. So let me invite you all for a lovely bit of tea, because tea always fixes everything. Or it gives you some time to think about how to fix things. And that's why I have my own tea emoticon. Isn't it wonderful? Now let me see. Our daily question is, what is the most difficult challenge you have completed in a game? And you will soon see that has something to do with today's stream. But let's see Schmoozer's answer. Prove to have skill. As I said, that's too vague. I'm sorry, you have to be more specific. More specific, I am the skill issue in person. Oh my. I heard about you so much in games. And I was told so many times I had skill issues. But I never met with you in person. So it's great to meet you. You are really famous in the gaming community, you see. Now let's see what is happening here with the game. Now, as you can see, today we are going to play some more of the Amnesia collection. But some of my keen-eyed viewers might have noticed that I have already 67% trophy completion in this game, and since this game only includes 3 games, The Dark Descent is DLC Justine and A Machine for Pigs, and I just happened to finish A Machine for Pigs during my last Friday stream, you might be asking, what are we still doing here? Now today I am going to continue our descent into madness in the Amnesia franchise, but not with the next installment, that being Rebirth, I do believe. But that's not what we are playing today. What we are playing today is Justine, the DLC. And I will tell you exactly why, because it has a really simple yet convoluted reason. But let me see Physsalia's answer. It was a specific Dandori challenge in the last Pikmin. Had to redo it so much. Oh, I can certainly relate to that. I had some games that I tried out, mostly because they were part of the PlayStation subscription, and as such they were free. Most of the time I noticed that these kind of games that I got completely stuck on were mostly racing games. One of them was, I do believe, Sonic Racing, which I started because it's a fun little, you know, Sonic Racing game. It's a mascot game. It must be easy, right? And so I played through the game, and that was lovely. And then I figured, well, I might as well try the challenges, get the stars, as you say, because so many games have stars. And I could not do it. I watched the videos on how it's possible, and I couldn't even mimic the videos. No, just so it doesn't seem like I'm completely terrible at these games, which I might be. Those trophies are some of the most difficult and the rarest that I could get. It's insane how some racing games just make unbelievably difficult challenges. And actually here you can see I tried this Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 game as well. Fun fact, I tried the first one as well. I could not get all the trophies there either. Mostly because, as it turned out, racing on the actual track was too old school. So you were supposed to do these shortcuts flying through the air and doing barrel rolls and all that. And so I figured I should probably try something more to my style. And so I play horror games. Yes. Now let me see. To have full stars, obviously. Yes. Well, That's the beauty of these games, when you finish so much of it and you have just a little bit of collecting or a few challenges left and you're so close, 98.7%, and you try and you try again, and when your hands are all sweaty, but you don't want to give up, and it's just one more try until you lose your last bit of sanity. Yes, I know the feeling. So, we are playing Amnesia Justine for a reason, because you see, I played through all 3 of the games in this collection, and I set out on this journey to play all of the Amnesia games and give them all a fair chance and show you what they are like. Kind of in retrospect, since the first game has this sort of legendary status in the horror gaming world. No, I enjoyed them, and I got through them, I would say, relatively easily. However, I managed to mess up something in each one of them, in some way, shape or form. So I missed a trophy, and for that trophy I will have to replay them all. Now, in the case of the first game, the Dark Descent, I missed the rarest trophy overall, and that is to pick up every tinderbox. Now, I actually checked, and would you like to take a guess how many tinderboxes are in the first Amnesia game, The Dark Descent? I will give you a bit of time if you would like to guess. But that is why I have to replay that game, and obviously that is the entirety of the game, because there's no chapter select or anything like that. Now, in the case of A Machine for Pigs, I don't necessarily know if I missed anything. However, there is this lovely trophy here that says read all notes in all games. Now, I would like to say that I found all of them in the first game, and just in being really short, I'm pretty sure I also found all of them in that game. So I'm pretty sure that I missed at least one, if not more, of these notes in A Machine for Pigs. Why I think that is simply the fact that in A Machine for Pigs there are at least 2 times, if not 3 times the amount of notes compared to the first game. It is chock full of notes that you can find. And I would not be at all surprised if I missed 1 or 2. I haven't checked how many notes are in each game, but I will probably do that before I try this trophy. So that rules out or explains the first and the second game, but what about the DLC? Now, in the case of the DLC, it's pretty short, and I would say that even though it is a DLC of the first game, it is mostly a standalone experience. It's really quite fun, and it has quite a replay value because you cannot save, and it has, I would at least think, 3 endings. Now, how Justine is set up is really quite clever. It is a series of 3 trials, 3 rooms. Wonderful. And in each room there is a prisoner. And in the beginning of the game we are informed that there is indeed a way to save them all. And there starts my trouble. Because you see, the first time I played Justine, I looked around in the first room and I couldn't really figure out what I was supposed to do, and there was this lever it wasn't clearly communicated what the lever would do, and I may or may not have killed the prisoner by pulling it. But I restarted. And then I figured out how to save that prisoner, so I went on to trial 2. And that trial has even less of an explanation, so I killed that prisoner as well. But I said, that's okay, let's go on, let's see what the third trial is like. And there, actually, I think, I saved the prisoner on the first try, and I got this trophy right here. Some victims died, some lived. Wondrous. Then I restarted the entire game and I said, well, I have an idea. Let's kill the first prisoner right away and then try to save the second. If we can, that means we figured it out, and that's really good. If not, then I accidentally kill the second one again, and not so accidentally, then I kill the third one, and that will probably give me a trophy as well for killing all of them. And indeed, not a single victim survived. Wondrous. No, I have a feeling that this trophy right here would be the one where all of the victims survive. Except I don't know how to do that. After I got these 2 trophies, I tried again, and again, and again. I don't know how many retries I had. I spent 4 hours with this DLC. That was my first stream of it, and I could not figure out how to save the second prisoner. So this is not just trophy hunting. This is missing an entire ending altogether. And as the stream title says, we have some unfinished business. So today, we are playing Justine and figuring out how to save the second victim, one way or another. I don't care, even if they die, but they will live. I'm not sure if that works, but I will make it work. Also, what I will do is I have a bit of a scrap piece of paper in front of me, like I always have, and I will write down how many notes we will find. Yes, this time it will be a trial of character. I know that. That is final. That means there is no saving. If we die, we have to restart. If we kill someone, we either finish the game or we restart. How to save a life? I don't know. That's the trouble. Because in a way, it's not saving a life. And that was one of the things that I got a bit confused about. The game tells us in the beginning that we have to save these people. And because the first one was in a prison cell, my thought process was, let's open the prison cell, let's get him out. But that wasn't it. What we have to do is not kill them. So if we can leave the room without activating some kind of mechanism that would kill them, that means we saved them. So it's a kind of psychopathic way of thinking. It's being a serial killer and saying that we saved someone just because we didn't kill them. It's a song, yes. Good song. Now, let's get into this experience. in theory we have everything set up since we already played this game, and I am so excited and slightly worried that in 4 hours I still will not have the answer to my question. But that's okay. Now we will leave no stone unturned. So this DLC, just like the original game and the Machine for Pigs and the rest of the Amnesia series, is a bit of a mystery. And it starts kind of in medias res, no information given, you are just thrown into something and you have to figure out what happened, which is interesting. However, since I finished the game already, I kind of know the story, and I will try to use that information to maybe figure out what I messed up. So the first thing we know is that we are in this cell, and I will look for absolutely everything, because as this game is a DLC of the first one, it is much like it, and we not only have the notes, the diaries and the mementos, we also have an inventory system, and this game uses the inventory system. It's not like a Machine for Pigs, since that game removed it altogether. So I will look around, because if we have an item in our inventory, we can carry that into other chapters, so to say, so we can get them through loading scenes, and that's important. Now here we see this little contraption, and we can start it up by grabbing this little handle.
Bienvenue. You are now listening to the sound of my disembodied voice. It will serve you no purpose to look for me, for this is a voice from the past. I bid you welcome to my cabinet of perturbations. It is my study of the human psyche, specifically yours. A set of recordings have been prepared to chaperone you through the chambers ahead. There are a few parts to this study, and it is up to you, not only to pass, but to figure out what elements are important. Please go on. Move into the next chamber. Just remember, they can all be saved. There is always a way.
Now, here we are introduced to our guide through this experience, and she is quite an interesting character. Now, throughout the entirety of the DLC, we are kind of wondering about who she is, and then we get the answer at the end. But right now, what's important are the bits of information she gives, because let me tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if the wording of these recordings would be important, and given how clever the developers are at frictional games, I'm pretty sure they hit some hints here and there. So first of all, we are clearly told that everyone can be saved. There is always a way. That's important. The second thing is that there's no point in looking for her, but there are 3 chambers waiting for us, and we have to not only pass through them, so it's not only getting from point A to point B, but we also have to figure out what's important. Now that to me, at least initially, sounded like there will be items that are of no use, as puzzle makers like to call these in escape rooms. They are red herrings. But here, I'm not sure if that is the truth or just a lie to guide us in the wrong direction. So let's get our lantern, which is really interesting because we actually never use the lantern since it has no oil in it. Exactly. But this opens the cell door. Now, an interesting little tidbit is that this game works with French characters, which is really interesting to me and really confusing at the same time. Mostly because all the character names are also French, and I can't figure out who's a man and who's a woman. So that's a bit confusing. That is a lovely enemy we will face later on, but we don't have to worry about him. I think him. Whoop whoop, French indeed. There's a lot of French in this game. So here in the big darkness we have nothing, which is absolutely wondrous. I am looking for any kind of item that I might have missed the last time around, but I'm not sure if I will find anything. Now there is one item that we need, and that's this. This is a broken ladder. Now is there anything else here? That's a good question. Because for passing the first trial, we only need this ladder. Nothing else. This is all we are required to find. What's that? It's a board. So this is the first chamber. Really interesting place. Yes. So I do believe he is the doctor. He is underneath this contraption right there, and if we pull this lever here, he's dead. Yes, that's how I killed him last time, but we don't talk about that.
Help me! Please, help me!
So my original thought process was try to open this some way or another. I couldn't. But we have some items here and there that we might be able to use. For example, these chairs and all kinds of barrels and boxes. That's really all nice. Now here we have a lot of darkness and some bugs. And you might say, well, it's really dark here and I should use my lantern, and that would again be a wonderful idea if only I had oil, which I don't think we have in this entire game. So that will not work, and I cannot go up there, it seems. So this is a dead end. Other than this, we have 6 cells, and I do believe they are all numbered. Here you can see the Roman numeral 6, for example, and we can find all kinds of interesting tidbits about the lore. Other than this, we have this basement area, and that's interesting because I could never go down there. You see there is this hatch, but it says it will not budge, and I do not see a clear locking mechanism anywhere. Now the only thing I have in my inventory other than my lamp is the ladder, but I cannot use that here. So let's try to break things open the good old-fashioned way, throwing things at it. Will it work? Probably not, but everything is worth a try. Now normally what we have to do
Have you seen Justine?
is get up there. And if we can get up there, we can escape this place. But first of all, let's actually look inside some of these cells. Now I'm not sure if any of the sounds we will hear are important, but we'll see, or rather hear. So someone here decided to sew this chair into pieces. Not sure if that is important for our journey. Let's see if I can find a rock. Oh, I found a rock, and that's great because that might be able to break those hinges. Wait, what? No, that doesn't do anything. You see, when I throw something at it, it goes a bit down. So what if I put enough things onto it to break it? Maybe that's what I have to do. So let's look for some more rocks. This is such a silly idea, but I already played through this game enough times that I'm starting to try out the most ridiculous of ideas. I think we are done here. So let's see what else we have here. Well, we have this barrel. Not sure how heavy the barrel is, but let's put that on top. Nah, that doesn't work. We also had a bucket, the use of which we will not discuss, but it was in a prison cell, and I think you can figure out. Well, this is interesting. So a musician was here. We have this violin. It is a bucket for tears. Maybe it is. Well, we have another bucket. Let's put it in the other bucket. Because we can. We can, right? Come on, engine. You can do it. I know you can do it. Close enough. Yeah, we got some progress there. Alright, now what else do we have? We have this bottle. I have no clue what this bottle is. We cannot put it into our inventory. This one we actually can. This is laudanum. But this one we can't. We can break it, but that's about it. And I never found a real use for it. Now let's see if we can find any rocks. No, those are not rocks. Well, we can move this bed. Or I thought we can move it. We can't. Why is it important that we can grab this bed? Again, the game clearly said that some of the things might not make sense. Which is understandable, but I don't understand why I can move it out of this spot. Especially because there's nothing underneath it, but I guess that's fine. Half of these things I can't figure out if they are just stones or organs. Well, let's see the next place.
Have you seen Justine?
Yes, I have seen. Now, this is the third one. And here we had someone who was digging? No, no. He was doing something and people were uploading. Oh, they were a tennis player maybe. I think some sort of a sportsman. Okay, and here we have a letter, a love letter. And actually, this is a point where I will stop for a moment and mention a bit of a self-promotional part, because for the last few weeks I've been thinking on a little series I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I didn't know how to. And when I played this game, and after I played A Machine for Pigs, which is quite different compared to the original game, it has a much more complex language. It uses really properly rare words. I decided that this might be a really good time to start this series, and I did on Blue Sky in a form of an image, and that's how I want to keep it for the time being. The point is, whenever I find an interesting or intriguing word or something that not everyone might know, I make a tiny dictionary entry out of it, maybe includes some fun fact about it, and that on one hand helps me remember it and maybe provide some entertainment to my fellow word lovers. And the first one is actually this word right here, and you can see this exact screenshot as well of this lovely word, which is from French. Now, fun fact, I knew this word before playing this game. However, only when I started to do a bit of research and look for the pronunciation did I notice that there are two pronunciations for the English version online. The more common one was actually the one I didn't know about, and that is Biledu. Now you can also find the French spelling there. And one interesting tidbit that I noticed is in French, this is not one letter, one word, it's two. So we have sweet letter, and because in French the adjective often follows the noun, do is actually the adjective that is sweet. Now, yeah, it is. Now, the fun tidbit for me is that in French, this is two words written separately. In English, it should always be hyphenated. I never saw it written in the way like in this game when it comes to English. So what I think they did here is they wrote the title, quote unquote, the title of the letter in French. And I found that an interesting little tidbit. And I hope I will be able to continue this lovely series and add new and new words and terms and maybe some idioms here and there into my collection. But for now, let's see why this is important and what we might learn from it. So this is a love letter from Alois, I would think. Actually, it is sweet for food, but means soft most of the time. That's interesting. That's obviously the beauty of languages, is one word doesn't necessarily always mean one thing, especially when it comes to adjectives. I would think or want to say that nouns are more rigid in a way. They have one meaning most of the time. Adjectives can be really, really complicated, and the little I know in French, it's even more complicated in that language. But it's lovely, and I really like how English borrowed so much from the French language, as well as Latin and a number of other languages. So Justine is the main character here, and she has multiple friends, so to say. One is Malo, the other is Basil, I guess, and the third one is Alois. I probably butchered all these names. Don't worry. No. Alois says that I know I am not as talented as Malo or as strong as Basil. No, we know that one of them is a musician based on the cell, and the other one was some sort of athlete, tennis player, something like that. And the third one, I don't really know. Malo and Basil are male. Elise and Justine, I think it's not Elise, it is Alois. Because I think all three of them should be male, as much as I know. Maybe not. But that's the tricky part in this DLC, that when I first played it, I could not figure out any of the characters. And no, that's why I'm rereading the notes to figure out what exactly happened. Lowe's male for sure. Justine, yay, indeed, welcome in. I'm trying to, on my Minecraft playthrough, finally put together the details of this game and hopefully find the third ending that I've been missing for so long. Oh, sorry, I couldn't read properly. Don't worry about it. It's a confusing story. So I will certainly have to read through these names many times. Now let's see. But I am certain my love is truer. So I think what was happening is there are three men and they are all kind of trying to earn the love of Justine, something like that. Do not my scars tell you so? I will continue to cut myself as long as it pleases you. Now this is interesting. Well, first of all, it's disturbing, but it's interesting why he is doing this. Because when I first read this, I thought that Alois is a bit desperate, and that's why he's trying to get Justine's attention like this. But as we learn later on, Justine is kind of a psychopath, and maybe it was her own idea to see Alois bleed for her. I would even kill Basil if you wish. I know you say you like it, but he's hurting you. I will trick him to consume the bromide. Poor Justine, I will help. Just ask me to help. So why is Basil hurting Justine? That's a good question. And in what way? So we already have three names and I'm not sure who is who. I feel like it's it reminds me of those detective games where you have titles and descriptions and names, and you have to categorize someone and figure out what the heck is going on. Forgive me. So I think these three gentlemen were trapped in these three cells. No, we only learned this during the ending of the game, so this is spoiler territory. If you ever want to play this DLC, you might want to, well, actually not watch this stream, because I will continuously talk about the lore to kind of understand it. But we are playing as Justine, and we made this trial for ourselves. The recordings are made by us, which is one of the details that threw me off when I first played this DLC, because when I listened to the recordings, I just ruled out the possibility that that disembodied female voice was Justine's, because I would assume she can recognize her own voice. Now, it can be argued that this is set in the past and voice recording wasn't that common, and there is a slight difference in one's voice compared to how you hear it yourself when you speak and when you listen to a recording of it. But I still feel like this is a kind of tricky part of the story. I understand that it's a nice twist, but it kind of led me astray.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Now this, I do believe this is the cell of a priest, and we will meet him later on. But first of all, let's add to our bucket collection. And let's see what we have here. Any stones, rocks, shackles? No. Once again, we can move the mattress. We have a Bible, but the thing is, it's not an inventory item, so we cannot keep it. Maybe we can keep the mattress. Yes, take the mattress, the entirety of it. Yep, come on. Come on, Justine, work with me. Alright. Why did I take the mattress? No idea. Really, no idea. I'm just looking. I'm just looking for details.
Have you seen Justine?
Now, this is obviously the doctor's little cell, and I never managed to get in there. And based on this, the sixth cell is the policeman's. But this is a tricky one, because let's be clever about this. Well, that was not at all clever. Because you see, when we come in here, that ugly creature will show its ugly mug. No, I never figured out where he comes from. Just one of the cells, even though I've been to that cell before. And I want to say that he is one of the men, one of the three. I am honestly unsure about that part. But he is slightly dangerous, so let's close this door. And let's look around in here. Now, why I think that this is the policeman's... What is this? Another bucket. Oh. Come on. So my idea is one, because we have 6 cells and we know that there were 3 gentlemen. There was the priest, there was the doctor, and there was the policeman. So that's 6. But we also find this plan here that is sent to this inspector. So the idea here is, as you very well know, the chief of police has turned down my request to pursue Justine for stealing my son away. So this is the father of one of these 3 gentlemen who are in love with Justine. Ever since their affair started, Alois, so we know which one, my son has forsaken his duties to his family and failed to pursue his career. Since the law seems unable to find the crime within the realm of Justine's actions, I will ask you to receive Dr. Victor Fournier later this week. He is a respectable alienist, an expert in the human psyche, and he believes he may have found a legal way to incarcerate her if he is able to diagnose her as a hysteric. It would provide you an ample excuse to have her locked up. I trust you and your agency will not turn us down. So, Lois, one of the 3, fell in love with Justine and pretty much threw everything away. No, his father wasn't really happy about this, so he wanted to find a way to get Justine locked up, but legally you can't lock up someone just because your son fell in love with them. I know, legal things are complicated. So he found this psychologist, I would assume, who might have a kind of way to still get Justine locked up, but for being a hysteric, so partially being insane, I guess. No. Actually, we don't learn who Alois is, because it is also really vague about that. It only says failed to pursue his career, but we don't know what kind of career the game on the note is talking about. So we cannot get in there as far as I know. And even though I have quite a collection of buckets by now, I don't think that helps at all. And by the looks of it, it doesn't matter what or how much I throw at this thing, this will not budge. Yes, at least that's how it seems to be. Now I do not see anything down there that I could interact with, so it might only be a red herring in a way, something that is not important, or maybe there is an entire secondary pathway through the game that I just cannot figure out because it won't budge. But instead of budging that, we have the next best thing, and that is to build a ladder, or rather a staircase, up there. And I have the best way to do that.
Please help me.
You see, you only need 3 barrels and 3 chairs, and it will turn into the most beautiful staircase you have ever seen. Yes, like so. Perfection. Now let's get the next barrel.
How did you escape?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't. I wasn't really locked up. I think the idea was that Justine drank something to forget that she's the one who set up this entire game. And she locked herself in, but made sure that she could get out whenever she wants by listening to the recording. And the point of getting herself logged in wasn't to keep herself there, but to keep herself safe from that creature. Because obviously it doesn't really like Justine. Except I don't really know who that is yet. One of the 3 gentlemen. Rest is questionable. Perfection. Look at that. Have you ever seen something so gorgeous? So we cannot reach up there because it's too high, but that's okay. However, before I continue, welcome in, Sepley. How are you doing? So I will come out here and look around because the creature went this way, and as far as I know, he disappears. Apparently not. It's okay. That wasn't necessarily planned, but it's okay. Doing well. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you for your daily check-in as well as for the daily break. It helps me tremendously. So, did it leave? But it's going one way or another. So he kinda just disappears. Now my question was whether or not anything changes here because this lovely creature comes back here. Maybe he breaks something. And there goes my break. A monster can dream. But hey, I will make that basement extension a reality one day. Okay, I can go up there, but I don't think that really helps us at all. It never was your brick to begin with, but you threw it at me. What is that if not a sign that it is a gift? No, I don't know how to get there. Or if it's possible to get there. Because if it is possible to get there, I can get through here. Let me see. Maybe with the stone I can break that bar, metal bar there. Tall people are greedy. I'm not greedy. And also, I'm not people. I'm a monster. Thank you very much. So apparently I can throw it And I can... What happened? Oh, right. I can throw it, but not much happens. I can also throw it inside, but that doesn't do anything. I don't think I've ever got there. Tall individuals are greedy. Thank you for the correction. So I think that would be on the same floor as the basement here. Is there a doorway there? Not sure, but I cannot get down there. What could I possibly do to open this? That's my big question. Because you see, if I go up here and I use the broken ladder, then I can put it there and I can escape, leaving the first
Help me.
prisoner
Please help me.
alive. And that's wonderful. But I don't know if I have to go down here or not. I still only have the one idea that if I stack enough things on top of it, that might break it, because we saw similar ideas in the first game where we had to throw, I think, rocks
Anyone there?
onto a stuck bridge. Come on. Nothing. Not a freaking thing. I remember that you were bad at throwing. Yes, I was. That's fair enough, I was. Can I maybe break this? Nah. Well, that I don't know how that would have helped, but hey. Worth a try. I really feel like this is just misdirection and I cannot get down there. Maybe I'm wrong, but for now I will say that this is the way to go. Now here we don't have to worry about anything other than the freaky noises, but actually this is entirely safe, and this is just a circular tunnel. That's where we came from, and I look around for anything, maybe a brick, maybe a rock, maybe a piece of wood I can pick up, who knows. Now I do believe on the right there's nothing because it collapsed. What was that? Oh yes, the pebbles. You can pick up the pebbles here. Why in the heck can you pick up the pebbles, you might be asking? Well, great question, I have no freaking clue. We cannot pick up these rocks, but we can pick up the pebbles. Why? Why can I pick up the pebbles? This would cost you $500,000 in rent in New York. This place, this is an entire castle. So I think it would cost even more. Let's say Justine lives quite lavishly. So we come down here and then we drop down onto this. I think this was a vent cover that fell off there. Now we are in the second area. Just that part, the tunnel? Ooh. New York is a heck of an expensive place then. Now let's see, we have books here. Books? What am I talking about? Stone, rock. Books are in the next place. So we have this, but I think it will not play anything because there is no cylinder. And my idea is that there may be a cylinder somewhere in this area hidden. Now why it is tricky to really know where to look for this possibly not even existing cylinder is the fact that we have an inventory, so we could carry it with us even from the first area. But I will hazard a guess and say that no, it is not in the first area, and the developers were nice and they didn't want to mess with me that badly. Candles, lovely. Candles, lovely. So this is our little workshop. Ow! Touch the fire. I can't touch the candle flames, unfortunately. But we have a fire right here. This is our workshop, you can see here. We cannot light these because we don't have tinder boxes yet. But we have some scalpels and knives. And here we have drawings of these creatures. So you can see there is a wheel around the neck of the creature, chains around its wrists or forearms. I would say barbed wire on the lower legs, and their head is squeezed. Light it with the other candles. That would be really, really logical, but I can't. I know, it's terrible, but the game doesn't let that happen. I see a bot. You indeed can see a bot. Is it a Daniel again? No, this time we are playing as Justine. And I just realized something. Silly me, I did not realize this part before. You see, there's this fire. And we can actually walk around this fire. I think some of my kins are near. At least I can hear them. And there's this piece of iron here that actually burns us when we touch it. And this is a sort of branding iron with a spiral at the end. And I think there's another one right here, if I can touch it. Here it is, you can see it's the same thing. No, I did not know what these were. I understood that they are for branding. And here you can actually see in this drawing that the same sort of branding iron is here. Right next to this person's head, and that's right here. Now I don't think this actually works, which is still a shame. But even with all this information, all of these hints, I could not figure out what they were for. But they were not for branding of skin. But I let you maybe figure out what they were for. You don't know if it happens every time. Touch it again. You need at least 100 times to make a statistic. I'm not sure I really need to make statistics about it. I can just learn. Maybe to close wounds. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, but the purpose of this instrument, or its use, when it comes to Justine's ideas, are more cruel. Travesty at the conservatory. No. This is an interesting piece of newspaper article. Many Parisians had gathered last night to enjoy the performance of violin virtuoso Malo. So Malo is the one with the violin. Okay. That's good to know. It was to be the grand premiere of several new arrangements of songs by fellow composer Georges Bizet, but the evening took an unexpected turn. Young Malo turned up visibly intoxicated. His violin cried as the bow was jerked across the strings. The audience seemed forgiving at first, but started to boo the man off stage as he defaced the beloved song Le Rose et le Belle. The stress apparently got the best of the young musician as he threw his bow into the audience and finally collapsed. Justine, who is, according to rumors, romantically involved with Monsieur de Vin... Who is that? Oh, that's the same person, isn't it? Yes, Malo, looked quite amused by the event and had two of her friends, Basil and Alois, carry him off the stage. So these are the three, and now we know that Malo is the one who is the violin player. The evening was saved by other musicians at the conservatory who was able to perform a most delightful impromptu concerto in Malo's absence. The audience showered their saviors with praises, and calls for encore were awarded with spectacular pieces by both Offenbach and Chopin. Interesting here, it says the evening was saved by other musicians who was able. Shouldn't that be who were able? Given we are talking about musicians in plural? Let's give him the world's smallest violin to violate his pride. What are you thinking of? I'm slightly worried to ask. So here we have another glass which actually can break as far as I know. It's really tough, but it can break. Doesn't make much sense. We have this, but this doesn't do much either. And we have the recording, or a recording.
Congratulations for coming this far. I'm so excited for you. I do hope you managed to save Monsieur Fournier. He was a friend and a colleague of my papa, you know. Friendly fellow, a real bon garçon, but frail of mind. He puts up an impressive front, but it is all an act, I assure you. Please, go on. We are just getting started.
Now here we get a bit of an information tidbit, and that is Fournier, right there, is the name, was this doctor. And apparently he was a friend of Justine's father, who was also researching the human psyche. Now with all this, we haven't found anything new, which is concerning. And we did not find any additional recordings. So once again, maybe that gramophone that we cannot use is really just there as decoration. Possible, but who knows. Now here we have a door, and this leads to the library, and this is the part where I got stuck. The basement had been extended well beyond the manor during the time of the First Revolution. Justine was not to enter without permission, but no, there was no one left to ask. Now this is referencing the fact that Justine's father died, or more specifically, Justine murdered her father. So here we are. This is the second trial, the second chamber. I called it a room, but let's follow Justine's words here, or wording. So the interesting part here is if we assume that every chamber, every trial is self-contained, meaning you can find every item you need to solve it within its own chamber, and that idea is also supported by the fact that we cannot go back because every door is jammed, and we also fall down from that little tunnel in the beginning. If this idea of mine is true, this hypothesis, then we have to find whatever we need for this trial here. Now what we have is actually many things. Firstly, these statues all carved, and I have no clue what they are trying to represent. We also have some paintings. Some are more religious than others. We have chandeliers, and interestingly every second is lit. Don't know if that's important. We have some books, which is not surprising in a library. And we have this recording.
On this next piece, you should be looking for some divine inspiration. Time to delve into your spiritual side. What do you see? Is the man begging for mercy, or is he being blessed? Perhaps both. Father used to say there were no right answers. Have the light guide you.
No, this is the part where I will probably overanalyze this a lot. Thank you for the lurk, Schmoozer. So, because this is the trial that I could not figure out how to do in a way that I don't kill the prisoner, who is in this case a priest, I will try to think about whatever I possibly can. Thank you for the hydrate. Don't forget to drink something yourself. So, here, initially I thought that Justine is talking about being an artist as looking for divine inspiration, but that is not what she meant. Here she's actually mocking religion, and mostly Christianity as far as I could figure it out, for reasons. I would assume that her father was religious and she is rebelling against that. So that is why she says that we have to find some divine inspiration. But she also mentions a few things. My apologies. My nose is all itchy again. So she mentions, first of all, the man being blessed or being killed. What the heck? And that is interesting. You will see that later on as part of the puzzle. But then she says that there is no right answer. At least that is what her father used to say. Now it's an interesting thing. What is the right answer for Justine? What her father used to say or what she thinks? And given that she's kind of a psychopath, it's not necessarily easy to figure out. But the last what the heck? Safely! Stop with the booping! Ah, makes my nose all itchy. And now you're pulling my hair? Come on. I can't... Ow. That was on the microphone. Ow. That's rude. Stop pulling my hair. It gets all messy. Not that I much care about it. Well, at least he's not biting me, so that's good. So she, Justine, finishes this recording by saying, let the guide light you, and the light guide you. And that's the thing that is interesting for me. Because in one way I can say, ow, what was that? Oh, and no, he is biting me. But thank you very much. You have my attention. You certainly do. So, what does it mean, let the light guide you? My initial idea was that it's just something, a way she's mocking religion again, being good and following the light and all that. But maybe it's more of a hint, and it's not really a metaphorical, more like a literal advice. Because you see, in these rooms we will find tinder boxes, such as this one. And this is the only place where we find them in this DLC. Now, we can use one tinder box to light this candle here, which we can then use to shine light through the panels that we can find, which is part of the puzzle. However, that's not all, because we get more tinder boxes than just one. So you can see here's one slide or